Over the years, we've gotten the whole zombie apocalypse thing pretty down pat. The genre has gotten so popular it's in everything, and I'd say we've got the formula straight by now. I'm not usually the biggest fan. Personally, it's nothing against the style. It just tends to create a world that's hopeless by nature of the setting, and it's all a little heavy for my Friday night. But I thought, that Sonic of all things would be different. Of all the franchises that could do a lighthearted zombie arc, I would assume it would be the one about the funny animal friends using the power of friendship. I was wrong. The metal virus, Sonic's version of a zombie infection, is sewn into the story from the very beginning of the IDW comics. The first arc isn't totally relevant. It's a story about Metal Sonic picking up where Eggman, who he cannot find, left off, trying to raise the Eggman Empire again after his loss in Sonic Forces. The only relevant part of this is the Eggman thing. See, Eggman isn't around because he has a severe case of amnesia. Instead of menacing cities as the evil doctor, he's become a kindly man named Mr. Tinker, the town handyman who spends his days making toys to spread joy to children and generally being the nicest guy alive. I love Mr. Tinker legitimately. As the comic's plot goes, Sonic and Shadow find him at almost the same time, and Shadow wants him in a jail cell and or dead on account of the fact that he is a literal ex-dictator that tried to take over the planet. Sonic's argument is that would be like kicking a puppy, and it's not fair to punish an innocent man for the deeds he technically didn't commit. They have a fight over it, but Sonic eventually convinces him to let it drop for now. Enter Dr. Starline. This guy has always looked up to Eggman for his bombastic villainy, and has been searching for him since he went missing. Instead of Dr. Eggman, he finds Mr. Tinker, out in the open on account of Sonic's earlier refusal to lock him up. Eggman in these comics feels like a tangible threat. When returned to full form, you can understand how he so quickly took over the world. He is a force of nature. He is a whirlwind of genius, but also a tactical mess. See, Eggman loves a good show. Just killing Sonic the Hedgehog is not what he wants. He wants to make a show of it. When Dr. Starline later tries to kill Sonic quickly and efficiently, Eggman flips out on him, insisting it's not his right. Similarly, he refuses to recycle old plans. When Starline reasonably points out that Metal Sonic almost did them in last time, and that was without Eggman's assistance, so if he did make a few adjustments and try it again, it would almost certainly succeed, Eggman refuses offhand. That's not what he wants. This philosophy is what created the metal virus. The metal virus is simple, but extremely destructive. If it comes in contact with any organic being, even a passing touch, it turns that thing into metal. Trees, plants, people, any living thing. There's no requirement of being bit or ingesting some toxin. Tag, you're out. The metallized beings are responsive to Eggman's commands as well, which is a bonus for him. His plan? To dump the serum over major cities and simply wait until the world eats itself alive. Meanwhile, Sonic finds out Eggman has been restored, and is up to something big. A series of missions leads him underground with Amy, looking through old Egg databases for clues. This old base was the site of one of the largest counterattacks the Resistance pulled off before Sonic was able to return to them. It is littered with the helmets of the lost. Eggman is tipped off to their presence and decides now is time for real-world application. Dr. Starline insists it hasn't been tested enough. Eggman does not care and provides Rough and Tumble, these two skunk guys, with what he says are backup weapons if Sonic gets the upper hand. What actually happens is that, by using them, they infect themselves with metal virus and go full zombie on Sonic and Amy. At first, they don't know what they're looking at. The harmless running gag villains have suddenly turned into what seems like mindless monsters, lashing out at them like wild animals. Zombots, as they're coined, bend but don't break, warping around attacks. They also don't know it's a bad idea to touch them. Amy fights with a hammer, but Sonic just runs into things. So he does that, and is immediately the first of our heroes to get infected. I love this. The metal virus as a force is a direct foil to Sonic. Because he is the protagonist, Sonic can't be taken out of the running yet. But he is infected. The comic uses this as an important part of Sonic's own character arc. Sonic's speed is fast enough to essentially burn out the virus, provided he keeps on running. He can't touch anyone, but he can fight the infected because he's already infected. He's one of very few in the forming resistance that can. They have a couple of robotic fighters, so anyone safely able to fight back the Horde is in very high demand. The problem is he has to keep leaving to burn off this illness, which you can see in the fight in the city. He struggles with being unable to actually carry anyone to safety, with being a part of the danger. In most Sonic media, Sonic is this untouchable, quippy speedster who's only limited by his proximity to the things he's blowing up. To even feasibly allow the world to get as bad as it had in Forces, they had to put him in space. But because he can help, Sonic is compelled to help out wherever he can. After all, he's so fast he's often the first one to a scene, can cover large areas, and is considered a pretty famous hero. People look up to him and feel safe with him. Stories like Sonic Prime show how often he pins his self-worth on being that strong, independent hero. Sure, he has his friends backing him, but he's always carried so much of the burden because he knows he can pull the most weight. And he doesn't want to risk other people for what he thinks he could easily do himself. Sometimes this causes him to push too far or make impulsive decisions that hurt his team because he's trying to protect them. Being actually dangerous to them is horrible for him. The fight in Sunset City shows how much of a danger he really is. The city's being held down by Rouge, Omega, and Shadow. Shadow wasn't there when they were collecting information. He knows he can't touch them, but not about Speed being able to stave off the virus. He simply assumes, being the ultimate life form, that he would be immune to this sort of thing, even if they did hit him. He's not. So when he gets infected, despite being one of the only people who could also counteract it, he misunderstands being told to run as being told to retreat like a coward. He's one of the earliest to get infected among their group, going down second to Charmy B. Embarrassing. To their very good fortune, it turns out Zombots become less intelligent once infected. This is important with Shadow because his speed and powers rely on his ability to think fast. Zombot Shadow can't work his rocket skates, so while he sure as hell isn't slow, he's no longer capable of hitting Sonic matching speeds. Having a zombie that fast, spreading the virus with every step, capable of infecting people before they even realized he was there, that kind of zombie would mean the end of them. Unfortunately, Sonic is also infected. Sonic is a time bomb. The longer he staves off the virus, the faster it comes back. The more infected he fights, the faster it comes back. The rebellion is trying to corral survivors and keep everyone safe, but along with being their savior, Sonic is also a certified biohazard. He can't get proper sleep because he has to wake up during the night to run off the infection, and the intervals between are getting shorter and shorter. At some point, he's going to be unable to sleep and unable to stand still, and when his body gives out, they're all going to die. They have to solve this first. Any rational supervillain creating a giant zombie army this volatile would have, a backup, an off switch, hell, a vaccine for themselves because they're working with the substance and even a passing touch can kill. Keyword, any rational supervillain. Eggman doesn't. As the virus is unleashed, it mutates out of his control. The bots no longer respond to his commands, and the world is actively crumbling beneath him. Eggman doesn't really care. Dr. Starline really very much cares, actually, because they have no control over the apocalypse they started. And makes no mistake, this is an apocalypse. In the previous arc, Silver showed up. His future was destroyed, and when he returned, it was just crumbling buildings. Not a single person or life form left on the entire surface of the planet. Tails finds that the metal virus is self-destructive. It won't be now, but eventually the Zombots will simply destroy themselves, and all organic matter on the planet. There will be no recovery for Mobius, just a dead, empty void. And Eggman and Starline cannot control that. Sonic is their best opportunity to collect data. He's the only infected that they have that's coherent. A typical infected can succumb anywhere between minutes to hours. It's usually quick. This is how they lose most of the survivors. A single infected and Charmy B take out an entire warehouse of those who are left. Vector's loss containing Charmy leaving Espio alone and crushed. Those who are left are picked off one by one, sacrificing themselves for the cause. Within 15 minutes, the survivors have gone from hundreds to a scant dozen or so. Sonic misses his shot to collect potentially important data because he's desperately hoping Eggman has a failsafe and finds an opportunity to confront him about it. Instead, he is taunted. Sonic is exhausted, running on fumes. He can't think straight. He is, for one of the first times in his life, getting tired of running. But he can't stop. Eggman asks him how much of the world Sonic himself has infected, how many blades of grass he touched running, how many people he has failed to save. And is this Sonic's fault? That's a question that's lived in his mind since Shadow went down, and is a very interesting question that the story explores. Espio actually directly calls him on it. He's the one who advocated for Eggman's freedom, which allowed him to be found by Dr. Starline and restored. He's the one who disabled Metal Sonic and released him back into the world, and unbeknownst to him, Metal Sonic is what made Eggman remember in the first place. Sonic wanted to give Eggman another chance at life, and he stomped all over it. He attacked the village that showed him kindness, tried to conquer the world all over again. Sonic believes that everyone deserves a chance to be better, or at the very least, that he should lead with mercy and kindness. And those decisions are directly what led to this outcome. Was it wrong to let him free? To have that hope for the future, even when every new development seems to be screaming at him to just give up trying? The story answers this question with Cream the rabbit. Cream is just a little girl, younger than even Tails. They went out of their way to find and save her, because Eggman attacked her village directly and on purpose to hurt Sonic. Cream is the MVP of this story. Icon, I love her. She does a great job and I am so proud of her. Cream in this story is the spark of hope in the bleakness of the survivors. Usually this would be Tails' job, but Tails is pretty much their only hope for a vaccine, and so he's working from morning to night. Everyone is busy, in too many places at once. The less people left to help, the more ground they have to cover. Nobody is in the mood to be upbeat right now. Not when every little victory comes with big losses. But Cream is the light in the darkness, despite how this apocalypse keeps on taking and taking from her. At the first conflict in her village, she loses her precious chow, cheese and chocolate. But she keeps on smiling. Not because she is in denial of what is happening, but because she believes that fear spreads just like the virus does, so she wants to smile and spread that instead. Just like everyone in this arc, Cream loses people. During the incident that loses them both Vector and hundreds of refugees from the city, her mother is infected. This is heartbreaking for Cream, and she, temporarily, loses her will to smile. But Cream literally wins the day because despite the fact that she knows that Eggman is responsible for the disease that basically took her entire family from her, she still stops Whisper. By the way, this is Whisper the Wolf, comics only character. She's in some pretty bad grief after losing her friend to the metal virus, from taking a sniper shot at Eggman while Sonic is trying to negotiate with him. Despite everything, Cream has hope to create a better future, even when everyone around her is angry and miserable. She even sacrifices herself for this belief. Yes, they turned Cream the rabbit into a zombie. She is 6? She's not even supposed to be here, but she fights to get on the team retrieving the Chaos Emeralds, I'll get back to that in a second, and forces her way onto the front lines because she knows there aren't enough people left and she wants to do her part. She wants to fight for her friends because she believes in their plan and in the future. And it is a very good thing she did that. If you're watching the B-roll instead of just listening to this video over laundry, you may have noticed this villain in Cream's fight. Unless you have either played Sonic Lost World or watched video game cutscene compilations like some kind of lunatic, you may be unaware that these are the Zeti. Strange, C-grade Sonic villains. Dr. Starline summoned them because they have the power to control robots, and he was really hoping for any kind of control over the Zombots, because Eggman sure as hell hasn't come up with anything. Sure, they're winning, technically, but there's not going to be anything left to win. So he decides to take this into his own hands, realizing this cycle of attack and destruction is getting them nowhere. Problem: controlling the Zeti themselves. He makes an attempt, but because he doesn't actually have any experience with them in person, it fails, and they claim the Chaos Emeralds powering Eggman's mothership, allowing them to amplify their powers and make the Zombots their own personal armies. The remaining members of Team Sonic now have another new problem to go clean up. and very few people with which to do it, considering most of their fighters are either too valuable to risk being zombified or are already zombies. They decide they need the emeralds to stop this. Hopefully, by using them combined with the warp topaz, they can literally teleport the virus off the planet. They send out 5 teams to collect an emerald off each Zeti. Cream wanted to go with Gemerald to fight one of the Zeti. You can understand why sending Gemerald, the robot, to fight an enemy that has the magic power to control robots alone was a bad idea. Sonic really must be tired to greenlight that one, but like, Tails? I know you know that. Does Tail want Gemerald dead? What are you planning, Tails? Each of the survivors are in the middle of their own struggles. Tails is under the pressure of basically being the only one they can trust to synthesize a cure, while his brother is literally dying a slow death beside him. Amy is managing and coordinating operations. Espio has just watched his friends go full zombie and is not handling it well. Whisper just lost her girlfriend. You can't tell me that's not what happened, that's what happened. Silver got blown up. Sonic is stuck in a limbo state between life and death, trying to stay positive while literally outrunning the end of the world. Knuckles was on Angel Island and didn't know any of this was happening. But Zavok spits on his island, guys. He's going through it too. The Zeti provide hope for a solution to this mess, and they're going to win, no matter what. It's the exact kind of thing Cream, yes, I'm back to Cream, stood for. They managed to get 6. 5 from the Zeti, 1 from Rouge infiltrating the mothership. But the last one is held by Zavok, leader of the Zeti, who begins to attack the island in an attempt to infect it, literally flinging zombies like projectiles, which is hilarious. What isn't is that the end is coming. Sonic can't run it off anymore. Their old friends are now attacking them full force. Knuckles goes down to Shadow, and Amy follows when Eggman uses her as a hedgehog shield and shoves her into Zombie Big the Cat. Of all things, it is Metal Sonic who pulls through, managing to get Sonic a leg up to collect the last emerald. Him and Silver go super, and use the power to vacuum all traces of the virus into the sun, saving the world. One of my favorite things that this story does is how customized the zombie threat is to Sonic as a character. Despite the threats that pop up along the way in the form of Eggman, Starline, or the Zeti, the virus itself is the actual villain. It's custom made to directly oppose the concept of Sonic's character. We've been seeing more of that with him recently, arcs that force Sonic to rely on others. Not too much though. You might have noticed how they shut down Shadow and Silver. I mentioned it offhandedly earlier, but Silver takes an explosion in a fight with Dr. Starline, and basically spends most of this arc in the medbay. Shadow makes a frankly stupid mistake early on. I don't blame the writers for how sorta strange this is. Apparently during this period, Sega was very specific with Shadow's characterization and was pretty strict with him. His more recent softer side has been finally adjusting how they're even allowed to portray him in these kinds of things. But if I had a nitpick, that would be my nitpick. That he just went down because he was too stubborn to listen to Rouge. I do think he needed to get knocked out early though. They have difficult powers to scale without having it feel like they're just suppressing them for no reason. And this story really is just about Sonic. They needed to put the weight on his shoulders alone for it to hit as hard as it does. The art is gorgeous, and I find I really like the characterization, especially of Eggman, who is absolutely the star of this show, which I was not expecting for an antagonist I usually find fairly flat. I am legitimately upset about the loss of Mr. Tinker as a character, and the way they use his pre-established failures to build up his mythology here is delightful. They make him feel legitimately threatening despite his many historic losses, not because the plan will definitely work this time, guys, but because he's so unhinged he doesn't care about the damage he does in pursuit of said next plan. The new characters as well don't feel intrusive, particularly Dr. Starline, who especially in this arc is a great accent to Eggman. He provides someone to actually question him and call him out on his decisions. After all, it's not like Metal Sonic has a mouth, and Orbot and Cubot certainly aren't going to be the ones to say anything. Overall, I love this twist on the genre, and it's definitely the arc that really endeared the IDW comics to me. If you haven't read them yet and are looking for a bit of side content away from the games, I'd highly recommend checking them out. Anyways, that's the end. Don't forget to like and subscribe on your way out, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching, everyone. and good night.